أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليكم everyone. Good morning and afternoon, wherever you are located, to another session of our Tajweed class today. I know all of you based in the UK, it's 5 p.m. UK time. Every Sundays will come live together here to learn about the proper recitation of the Quran and articulation of the Tajweed rules so we can recite the Quran the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed the Quran to the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And for all of you who have been joining me for the last 4 months, you will know that we've started learning the letters and understanding the basic principle of the makharij, the letters. We discussed as well the harakat, the sound system, the short vowel sound of the Quran recitation. We as well talked about the long vowel sound, the med. When you stretch the letters of the Quran, sound for more than a count. So you didn't med, you didn't, elongating the sound. We've talked as well about the silent letters. So the letters of the Quran, and when they are silent, they have some symbols of silence and how they get pronounced. We've talked about the qalqal, and also we move into talking about nunation, how some of the the marks and symbols on the Quran words, how they are pronounced with with nisa sound, like you call it, so nunation, right? And how you pronounce them, how you stop on them. We've also moving to discuss the doubling, how you pronounce those W small marks on the Quran words and letters, and how do you pronounce them? How do you stop on them? We've learned all this. And more so recently, we've talked about the moon and the sun lamb, the lamb that's going to be pronounced shortened, which is the moon lamb, and the one that will not be pronounced at all, the sun lamb in Quran words. And we talk about as well about the alful wasli and the alfu hamzat al wasli and hamzat al qata'. We've talked about the rules, and so we've learned a lot for the last 4 or 5 months here together. And so, meaning if you've been here for the last 4 months, you will have learned a lot and achieve a lot in terms of practicing learning to recite the Quran. One good thing about this is if you would like to catch on those lessons modules, check Quran Expert Quran Readers Facebook page right now if you're watching from there, or you can check Imam Muhammad page, business page, to see all those modules and curriculum, and so you can learn that. If you have any personal questions regarding Quran learning, and you can reach out to us, inshallah. So today we'll talk about the module 10 of our curriculum in the accelerated Quran reading program here. And I'm pretty sure that anyone that already has kids in our program will know that this is possibilities that's really 100% possible that a child or a student can learn from a beginner level to recite anywhere in the Quran in 4 months. This is real and it's working. But if you still have your child struggling somewhere and you're really so very frustrated about the pace of learning, it's time to make a change, and join us in any of our upcoming parent demo sessions to show you how this reading fluency program works here, so you can have a child who is a beginner or someone that's really been struggling for many years of learning, having them to understand the rules and learn to recite the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with more confidence, with more accuracy, and of course enjoying to do that as well. So today you see on my screen here, I call it the rules of stopping and pausing in Quran recitation. How do you recite the Quran the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed the Quran? So you're not making big mistakes on stopping where you shouldn't stop reciting, or actually reciting where you should have stopped to give a complete meaning. I put this module on the last module in our program here so that any student, child who's been learning, they need to focus on the basics on pronouncing the words and learning to perfect their pronunciation of the Quran words and ayat. But once they've grasped these basics, so we can now teach them how you stop the signs and symbols you see in the Quran and must have how and what is their function per se. to know about them. So this will be the last module. Of course, we'll finish this module today, and we'll be having another session next week, which will be not about tajweed, but about mindset training on how to get started to learn the Quran and how to plan your days, your time, and all that. And so if we need to start any other curriculum again, for the entire program, it will be in January, bi'idhnillah. So you see on my screen, I put there, it says rules of stopping and pausing in Quran recitation. So this is something that's not really, it's not a fundamental, part of tajweed, but it's something that's really important to understand. The way many Quran are written in terms of the fonts, the printing, and all that. We've talked about that, but understanding the Quran context itself, we all speak languages and we all have the ways to speak, and people understand what we are saying, pausing, stopping, and having paces and all those things. It's important in the Quran. It's the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and revealed in Arabic language. And so to read it in a meaningful way, and to have other, sunnatic ways of reciting it and doing it exactly how the Rasul Sallam has done it, is all I want to go through today. And you see, I put an example of an ayah there, is A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, khitamuhu misk. So you see the gym symbol on top of that ayah. You might wonder, what is it doing there? What is the gym? What is the gym doing there? Like, this is a gym, like, is the gym gonna be pronounced or not? We need to talk about this because a lot of people will actually feel confused, and they're like, oh, how do you do this? What's the essence of this? And that's why we need to teach students. No matter what level is a child in a program here, they gotta learn all those things. They're gonna learn to know what they meant. Even if they forget to apply that rule, they know really well in their heart what it means. And so they're actually not novice. They're not people who do not know what they're actually doing. So that's the essence of going through all these things, in our program. And of course, teaching our students here. So we've had kids who are 5 years old, 6 years old, teenagers, and they're able to learn to understand all these concepts and learn to recite the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the best way and the best manner. So we'll talk about that. What's the essence of the gym symbol and many other symbols that you'll see on top of Quran words, and how and what's the essence of them. So let's talk about the benefits one of learning about the stopping and the pausing rules of Quran recitation. What are the benefits? What are the importance? I'll say what are the significance of this in Quran recitation? What are the significance of this in Quran recitation? So let's talk about the first part here, which is why do we have to stop and pause in Quran recitation? Why do we have to pause and stop in Quran recitation? One, of course, for our own health. Some ayats are really long in the Quran that you cannot recite them in a single pace of breath. You've got to pause and make some rest. So to rest our breath, to read healthy and not cause unnecessary harm to our body. And also to preserve the meaning of the Quran. Many of the ayat of the Quran, at specific points, there's a pause, there's a stop, and these are really giving a specific meaning. They're giving a specific meaning that really important, that will make us understand the recitation of the Quran, and knowing, this is a blessing. So another essence of actually getting this done is to reflect on ayat of the Quran. So we can reflect on the ayat of the Quran and get to understand the essence of that ayah, or the emphasis Allah is making in that ayah. And most importantly, all these are not just something conjectural that was created by people. It's the tradition of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam to stop and pause on those parts of the Quran when being recited. So we talk broadly about the kind of pause and stop signs. So we have those of them that are compulsory, meaning you've got to stop there unless you're gonna mess up the ayah, the meaning of the ayah. And this is very important. So for instance, you see a letter meme, a tiny meme on top of a word, meaning you've got to stop on that word when we're setting from. We have those that are preferred stop, meaning is either you stop or you don't stop. Everything's still the same thing, right? But they will say it's preferred to stop. But if you don't stop, it doesn't mean it's actually tarnish the meaning or mess up the meaning of the ayah. We have permissible stops, meaning, it's better to continue, but if you stop on them, that's no big deal. It's when you see this kind of sword on top of Quran words. We have those that are non-permissible, meaning you do not want to stop when you see that on a word in reciting the Quran. And so this is kind of a summary of the rules and the possibilities that happens in Quran recitation. Some of them are compulsory stopping. You need to stop to avoid studying the meaning of the Quran. Some of them are preferred stops, meaning you need to stop if you want, which is preferred. But if you don't stop, it doesn't really make too much mess of the meaning. They are permissible stop, meaning you don't have to stop, but if you stop, it's really good. It's not bad, but it's preferred to continue. But if you stop, it's also not a big deal. But the ones that are actually really important are the compulsory stops and non-permissible stops, right? The compulsory stops and the non-permissible stops. So this one, you see the meme on top of the word, or you see the small line on top of the word, it means they're really very important. So let's talk about big, broad, summary of them. So these are very common examples of the signs and symbols that you'll see. So this one says meme means you must stop on that word that has it on top of it. The lam means you shouldn't stop. The jim means, stop or continue, right? But stop is best, but you can continue as well. Or the jim, sorry, the sword, which is called sila, meaning it's desirable to actually continue reciting. This is qila, means it's better. It's really better to stop. It's most really encouraged to stop. But if you don't stop, that's fine as well. It's not gonna mess up the meaning. But it's most likely that Sallam stop on this recitation more often. And then the other one here is when you have three signs here, meaning that you stop at one of each. So you don't stop. You see it in Surah Al-Baqarah, in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, like أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. Or you can say ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين, right? You'll see that in the Quran. I'm going to show an example of that in a bit. This one is called slight pause, right? So you do a slight breath of pause. It's not a complete stop. So you take a slight pause without taking stopping your breath, right? So these are the very common one that you would see on the Quran. So by now, once you finish this module with me today, you should have a grounded understanding of what this meant and why are they actually there. I've talked about why we use them and why they're so important earlier. The reason is more than all I've listed here. To rest our breath, so some ayats are much longer. You need to preserve your breath so you're not injuring yourself reciting the Quran. Or to preserve the meaning of the ayat of the Quran, to reflect on the ayat and to give emphasis on some words in the Quran, which Sallam actually is a tradition of him reciting those ayat and verses that way, and that's why we want to emulate the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his recitation. So I've talked about the categories of those rules, of those stops and sign rules. And this is a summary of the symbols that you'll see in the Quran. So let's take a few examples before running up this discussion. And you see, the scene, as we mentioned here, means a slight pause. So you're reciting this ayah, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وقيل من راق, right? You're not stopping on the man. You actually just a slight pause, right? وقيل من راق, right? This is an ayah in Surah Al-Qiyamah when Allah is talking about the time the life is going out of a person. And Allah is saying the life, the soul is going to be man. Who is the person that will kill and save this life from leaving this dunya? And so this is really intriguing, the meaning of this. It's like an emphasis and an exclamation. Who among you can do it? Who among you can actually save the life from leaving this dunya? So it's like making an emphasis and letting people know that you're weak and you don't have any power to save life, except those Allah is wanting to remain in this dunya. But if Allah wants to take the soul, nobody, no doctor can actually save that life. And this another one, the one I mentioned earlier, this is when you have like two dots, on adjacent words. So I would say, words that comes after each other. So this is ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. Or you can say ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. المتقين. Right? So that's the rule of that. And pause on stop on one of them. And this is two signs here. So this one, remember, is called sila, and it means it's better to continue and not stop. So here, this one here, meaning we don't want to stop on this. It's better to continue reading it and do a slight pause here. So this will be كلا بل ران على قلوبهم ما كانوا يكسبون. Right? This one here. Right? كلا بل ران على قلوبهم ما كانوا يكسبون. Right? So you see we have those two symbols there, right? This one meaning is better to continue, and this one means a slight pause, right? And you see this ayah, it's having this small meme in Surah Al-An'am. إنما يستجيب الذين يسمعون والموتى يبعثهم الله ثم إليه يرجعون. Allah is giving emphasis and asking those who are calling on beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? That those who can hear are those who will answer your prayers. The dead who is not able to hear anything, how come they can help you out? Right? Allah is the all-hearing. Right? Wal mota, the dead person, yab'athuhum Allah will rise them one day and resurrect them, and it's unto Allah the return of everyone, including the people who are calling and those who are being called. So this is Allah is throwing challenge to humans and saying, you calling on dead bodies to help you out? How smart or how stupid you are. And this is really important. So this is the meme there. And here we have this ayah having this lam, meaning never stop when reciting. And you see, let me recite the ayah. ويقول الذين آمنوا أهؤلاء الذين أقسموا بالله جهد أيمانهم إنهم لمعكم. You see, it's a very long ayah. You can stop before that, but you shouldn't stop on that أيمانهم. Right? So Allah is saying, وَيَقُولُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَهَؤُلَاءِ الَّذِينَ أَقْسَمُوا بِاللَّهِ جَهْدَ أَيْمَانِهِمْ. Are these the people among the Muslims? أَقْسَمُوا بِاللَّهِ. They are swearing that, they have strong believers. Right? They're strong believers. So if you stop on that, you're actually just giving the meaning that these people are believers. But إِنَّهُمْ لَمَعَكُمْ. So they say they are with you, or the messenger of Allah, Muhammad Sallallahu. Allah is directing this ayah to the entire Muslims and Sallam, that those people who are munafiqeen and trying to say that they have actually believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they're actually affirming and swearing for that. So are they really true believers? Are they really true believers? Right? So the ayah has a lot of meaning, which we're not here to do the balagha of meaning of the Quran or translating at this point. But what I'm conveying to you all is it has a connotation, it has an importance in terms of in the Arabic language and speaking and understanding words. So stopping on that could cut the meaning and give it a different interpretation. But you continue and stopping on that jim makes a lot of sense. Okay? So you can stop before the aymanihim, but don't stop on top of it and continue till you finish here. So these are symbols of the Quran Recitation that actually has a lot deeper meaning to just this superficial I'm actually describing here. Inshallah, we hope that we're going to do some tafsir of the Quran and do understanding the meaning. We've been focusing a lot about tajweed and the proper recitation, which is the first thing to do, because reciting the Quran, even without understanding the meaning itself, it has a lot of benefits. So what you can read, so understanding it makes a lot of sense then. A lot of people say they understand the Quran, but they cannot even recite the Quran correctly. How come you understand the complete meaning without understanding the recitation itself? So these are examples, and you will see that this really have different meaning which inshallah, if Allah permits, we'll go into deeper into the tafsir of the Quran later on. So, and these are other examples of the symbols we're talking about today. You see on top here, we have this ayah, this qila here, which is having the qaf. Qila is called qila, meaning you have, let's see, I want to mark it out. You can see all here. This is qila, this is sila. Yeah, so this is the jim, right? Jawaz al-waqf, meaning it's allowed to stop, right? It's allowed to stop here. So here, الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور, meaning it's allowed to be stopped, meaning if you stop on here and you don't pronounce the one before it anymore, the ayah is really perfect and the meaning is complete, right? And that's the meaning of that. So here now, الذي خلق سبع سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور. وهي وآتاكم من كل ما سألتموه وإن تعدوا نعمة الله لا تحصوها إن الإنسان لظلوم كفار. Great, everyone. I hope you all learned one or two things today. Like I said, this is part of our curriculum, and you see we're running up the 10 module curriculum today here. So that's exactly how you will learn with us here in the program. And the good thing with us here, we have the entire curriculum video accessible to you anytime, and we have just recently launched a program that will allow anyone to learn the tajweed in a self-paced, so you can learn anytime you want to learn and do practice and do homework. So if you're really interested in our live sessions or a self-paced learning, we're really ready for that for you, inshallah. And we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to crown our efforts and grant us goodness in this dunya and akhirah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.